A very exciting announcement which some of you may already know about. But anyway, this is a great occasion, and I am thrilled and pleased to be able to introduce our next candidate for District 26, Vicki Wiesting. To just tell you a few things about her. She is extremely well qualified, although she's not a lawyer.
And I don't play one on TV.
But she does have a PhD in legal studies, so she does understand the law. And I think for anybody running for the legislature, they ought to be able to see the laws that they're passing and what unforeseen consequences there might be. So I think it's very important to have a legal background. Here is Vicki's. I was looking for your husband. Oh, Vicki's husband, Keith, is at Purdue. And 3 of her 4 children are here.
Yay, children!
And the older 2 will be able to vote because they'll be 18 in September. But Vicki and her family have lived here for 17 years. They're longtime residents. They know the community, and with their children's familiarity with the high school and all of the people that Vicki has been associated with, she has a great community presence, and I think that will be a huge help come fall. But I think her volunteer activities indicate where her heart lies, which is in education. She helped, she was the social media chairman for the referendum, and she has worked very tirelessly for the schools. And she was even a coach for her children when they were playing soccer and baseball. So she has a very varied background, and she will do her in good stead when she starts this spring and next fall. Having to walk, she'll be in good shape. But I want to give the floor, and I want to thank everybody who's here. You all know Gerald, who's on the city council, Joe Micon, who was a former successive for 2 terms legislators for District 26, Peter Bunder, who's the president of the council, and Ann, I'm sorry, standing right next to you, and Ann, who was the president of the council before that. I also want to introduce Kathy Parker. Kathy's going to be Vicki's campaign chairman.
Thank you.
Do you want to say a few words?
Thank you all for coming. We are so excited about this campaign. We have the right person right there. She's sharp. She knows the issues. She'll fight her. She's going to do great. And we just hope that you will all make sure you sign in before you leave, please. And thank you for joining Team Vicki.
So without further ado, Vicki Wiesting.
I want to echo what Kathy just said and thank everyone for coming tonight. This is just so bracing to know that so many people think this is a good idea. Especially the guy that I'm married to. So this is the moment. I'm here to tell you all that I am officially a candidate for the seat in the House in District 26. I have lived here in West Lafayette with my husband and children for almost 17 years. We've raised our kids here. I've been deeply involved in politics and civic issues on every level since we moved here. As Sonia said, I'm not a lawyer, but I have in fact got a great deal of legal training, and my PhD is in what I like to call law and the real world. Law and social science. How does law affect society? How does society change law? How do these things happen and why? Those are the questions I've been thinking about most of my life, really. And it helps me to see that we've actually got some problems with the way that the laws are being written and enforced in Indianapolis. They affect us on a day-to-day basis. And the main reason that I'm running is because I want to help address the disconnect between the policy that's written down there in Indianapolis and the real world effects that it has on the daily lives of people in our district. I'm running because I know the district and I know the issues that matter the most to the people here. We've all lived through the education follies of the last 12 or so years. No Child Left Behind, which was enacted in 2004 and thankfully repealed last year, has put us in a sinkhole of education underachievement. I've watched my kids and my kids' friends grow up in a culture of testing that does nothing but frustrate them, and it tells us nothing about what kind of thinkers they're going to grow up to be, what kind of contributors they're going to be. And I understand the frustrations, too, of people who are having a hard time finding good-paying jobs here in Tippecanoe County. And we have roads and bridges that are literally crumbling under our feet. There's a lot of work to do. We all have to be engaged in it. So let me just briefly now talk about those three issues that I'm going to prioritize in this campaign, but obviously because you know how politicians and academics are, we find lots of things to talk about besides the things we say we're going to talk about. But here they are. Number one, education, okay? We are losing ground, not just with regard to the rest of the country, but with regard to the rest of the world in science and math attainment. We have got to find a way to reverse course. I think the way we do that is by returning control over funding to local authorities and by returning control over curriculum to superintendents, school boards, and parents and voters, because we're the ones that know how our kids learn. And teachers are the ones, teachers are best situated to figure out how to express knowledge in a way that children can understand and integrate into their own thinking. I think we need to continue to fund policies that encourage people to enter into teaching as a career. We are in a statewide shortage of teachers, as most of you know. Who would want to become a teacher under the constraints that have been imposed under current state and federal law? I wouldn't. We need to improve teacher pay and improve classroom resources, especially in less well-off districts. We need to fund full-day kindergarten and preschool for 3 to 5-year-olds. And finally, we need to restore essential class time that's been taken away from art, music, PE, and yes, recess. Because kids aged 3 to 12 need to move. They need to exercise. It's how their brains grow. Just as important as sitting in a classroom, watching a film, or listening to a teacher. The research on this is really clear. And I think, frankly, the one major way in which we've gone wrong in education is we stopped listening to the people who understand and know the field. And we're letting... We simply can't think of this as a dollars and cents calculation without any concern for the social context in which education takes place. All right, number two, jobs. We live in a district that's got a hardwired, built-in environment for great jobs in STEM disciplines. We're fortunate to have great working relationships between the cities of West Lafayette and Tippecanoe County. So let's make the most of those relationships. Let's continue to grow public-private partnerships and encourage businesses to locate here, to employ Indiana-trained scientists, engineers, computer technology workers, technicians, teachers, writers, artists, and everybody who supports these people in their jobs. Everyone from the secretaries to the janitors. Those people matter too. And every job at whatever level means a family is supported, fed, and housed. And that's a social good.